Hello and welcome to another episode of The Pursuit of Myself. I think we're up to episode 21. I'm so proud of myself. Just a quick little life admin. I'm not going to go too far on this because this is such a raw episode. It has come off the cuff. It is not scripted. It is not where I thought I'd go, but I had a huge incident yesterday where I've been judging and triggered and out of alignment and feeling like an imposter and all the things, and guilt and shame have come up, and I've really had to move through some big things that has been plaguing me that I didn't realize was still there from about 15 years ago. So it's going to be an episode. But before I get into that, so many exciting things are happening. One thing I want to commend, and I'll say this about my daughter because she doesn't listen to this podcast, but she's just made the state under 18s basketball side. And what is so, as a 16-year-old, just turned 16, what I want to say to her or about her is she inspires me every single day. That woman has a purpose. She knows what she wants. She knows how to get it. And when I watch her, I think, oh God, how do I instill that into the boys? How do I do that? And, we actually can't. I'm more embodied in this now. I'm more convinced of this now. These kids are their own personality. I cannot tell you that I've done anything except for make these opportunities available to her. She has told me where she's playing. She's told me when she's trialing. She's told me what she wants. She's decided what school, that she go, all these things. And I'm just watching her blossom into this most incredible young woman. Very difficult at times. If you're listening, Autumn, very fucking difficult at times. It's hard to parent. When we can't mold and create and shape you and you're doing it yourself, it is hard to parent. But I am so proud of her. I'm so proud of watching her. So I just wanted to give her that shout out. And, if you are struggling with your teens or if you're not sure, I really want to implore you to go to have a think about how hands-on are you being? Do you need to let go of the wheel, relinquish a bit of control? Because they have lives and they're here to live them. It might not be in alignment with what we want. We do not know what's always best. I can guarantee you that. No matter how much you convince yourself you do, you don't. These kids are empowered. And the more I allow her to be empowered and allow her to figure this out on her own, the more I'm watching her shine. And it's so freaking beautiful to watch. I'm really proud of her. And I guess that's just a little message for you today. Take your hands off the wheel a little bit. Trust the process. Keep your boundaries. Keep sitting there, with your arms out wide, being available. Non-judgmental way, an open ear, a safe place for them to come. But I'm sure you're doing a really good job. So that's it for my little intro today. Now, before I start this episode, I literally had to put my transcript into ChatGPT and said, can you help me with an intro? Because I think a lot of it, I was on another level. I channel a little bit. I just speak as words come, and that's what this episode's about. So I'm going to recite you the introduction from ChatGPT. Thank you very much. And then we're going to get into it. Here we go. Let's be honest. The next level of your life, business, or wealth isn't about strategy. It's about what you're still unwilling to face. And this episode, this one's raw. It's not planned, not polished. It's me in real time meeting the parts of myself that I thought were already healed. Because the truth is, your next level of leadership will always ask you to face off with something deeper. The shame, the guilt, the stories that still whisper, you are not enough. You're not enough yet. For me, that whisper got really loud this week. It showed up as anxiety, judgment, and comparison. And I realized it wasn't about the event I was at. It was about the lens I was still seeing myself through. So if you're a high-performing woman who's done the work, but still feels like something's missing, this one's for you. Because this is what it looks like to lead yourself through your own edges, to stop performing and start embodying. Let's go there together. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself, the podcast. Here we take ownership of our healing. We rewrite the rules, we turn knowledge into wisdom, and we lead our lives with intention. I'm your host, Rain, and it's my mission to empower you to get back into the driver's seat of your life. Okay, so this is a totally unplanned episode, but I'm going through something at the moment, and I feel like it is important that I share. And to me, it's really hard to share because there's a lot of shame and guilt around this. And I guess it's something that I haven't addressed in myself for a really long time. And something happened to me yesterday when I went to an event. And I walked out of that event with anxiety that I'd actually never, like, I am not generally an anxious person because I do so much work to be able to move through my anxieties, be really honest with myself. But this, I walked out and I was like, what is that in my chest? What is going on? And, if you've been following my journey, you'll know that I have my heart can go into atrial fibrillation, so it goes out of beat. And it spent literally, I think, 4 or 5 hours doing that. And I'm blessed because it corrects itself. But I could feel it. And then I sort of sit back and I think, where is that coming from? Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is because of everything that I teach and coach and guide my clients through. And I feel right now, knocking on my doorstep is my next level of authenticity and my next level of alignment. And I'm sharing this in real time because holy fuck, it is uncomfortable. And I'm even swallowing, I can feel it somatic. I can feel it in my throat. I can feel it in my chest as I'm speaking. It is uncomfortable to move to a next level. It is uncomfortable to face off with yourself. It is uncomfortable and scary when you realize that there is still work to do. When you unlayer your next fear or your next level of authenticity or something that scares you and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, do I really, really want to go there? Like, am I ready to go there? Why do I need to go there? I've done so much work and I've got a successful business and et cetera, et cetera. You convince yourself. But then the knock gets so loud. And I feel what happens and is the next level of our existence is calling us. The next level of wealth, the next deepening of a love in my relationship, the next level of my travel with my kids and all these things that I deeply desire that I feel like I'm starting to hit on the head, like I'm starting to achieve. But I feel the universe is going, but to get there, you have to face off with this. You have to face off with this shame. You have to face off with this guilt. Because otherwise, if you keep that hidden, we're going to keep you dancing around just on the surface, just making enough, just getting that little holiday in, just etc. So this is it. And I know a lot of you are going to resonate with this. It's actually going to be hopefully a powerful episode. As I say, no notes, just experience. So my next level of authenticity, and how do I know? Well, I touched on that at the beginning. I know that my next level is because I felt this deep anxiety walking out of this seminar about wealth and about investing. And upon reflecting, a couple of things happened. I sat there and the women that were up on stage, I noticed myself judging. I noticed myself going, when they're talking about their investments and talking about the incredible things that they're, properties they're buying and things that they're doing, I noticed myself going, oh, but you must have a supportive husband. But you are in that career. You can't be making more than $130 an hour. But you must have, all these things. I could feel my body doing it, making excuses. I was triggered. I was judging inside. This is my internal talk, right? And when I walked out of that, I just thought, Rain, what is that voice in your head? Let's have a look at that. Because when we judge, when we are triggered, the question is in the investigation. What am I making this mean about me? This is the most powerful thing that you can ask yourself. And as I sat there listening to those stories and I allowed my internal narrative to take over and I left pretty quickly, I get to sit back last night in my anxiety and in my triggers and think, again, what did I make that mean about me? And I'm going to get to that. The other thing that happened, which was really interesting, is my beautiful online business manager, Antoinette, which if you're listening and one of my clients, you'll have a lot to do with in the back end. She said to me, did you realize that when someone asked you what you did, you shrunk? I was like, yeah, I did. I felt that in my body. I felt like I couldn't articulate shrink. She said, why did you do that? And immediately came out? Because I thought she was better than me. I thought she was more successful because she had a couple of properties. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because we get to investigate through our triggers, through our judgments, through our shrinking personalities, through when we get an opportunity to show up and I shrunk. And this is the invitation, right? This is my invitation. This was me. What is calling me? What is it? Who am I at this core level that doesn't actually think that I'm good enough, that doesn't actually think that I could be in that situation, be in that alignment. And I'll tell you why, because it's a pretty big story. And I thought, as we know, like I'm going to say inverted commas, I thought that I had dealt with this. I thought that I had healed this. I thought that I had moved through this. We push it aside and we move on, right? But where I'm at now in my business, where I'm at now in my love life, where I'm at now with my children, it's saying, hey, yeah, you did deal with it to the level of your capabilities back then, but now you're asking us for more, and we really need to dig in this. We really need to go. You want more in your business, more in your life? This is where we need to look. So the investigation comes. Now, about 15 years ago, and this is where I've gone back to now. I haven't thought about this in a really long time. About 15 years ago, we lost about $500,000, and we at one stage owned 5 houses. I had got my owner builder's license and did a $500,000 renovation, like that managed with one of my ex-husband's best friends. We had a very healthy managed fund share portfolio. I was trading shares, I was working as a finance broker, and we'd bought into, started a business at all these things that had happened. Actually, no, the restaurant came later. Did the restaurant come later? I think the restaurant came later. And in a time where we lost so much, as I say, lost, in inverted commas, because that's what it feels like, it was really soul destroying. And the soul destroying part wasn't the amount of money. It was the fact that at that moment, I made that mean that I was a failure, that I made that mean that I couldn't let anyone know. My ex-husband had an incredible job and was earning great money, and I was earning great money, and everything looked so well put together, as I've spoken about a lot on this podcast. But at that moment, I was like, holy fuck, fail. Can't believe you guys have done this. Cover it up. Shame, guilt, carry that around. Don't let anyone see. You still are successful. Money means nothing, and we have all the talks. We have all this. But what I've since realized over this years, and just, in my next level of authenticity now, is there is still an element of me that is carrying around this shame and this guilt of a period in our lives that, we could make all the things GFC, we're renovating a house, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. The actual fact of the truth doesn't matter. It's the truth that I made it mean about me, the little truth, the little T that I made it mean about me. It was that I sucked. I was dumb. We didn't see it coming. Cover it up. Don't let anyone see how shameful. People are going to judge you, and we cover it up and cover it up. Right. And since starting to look back at investing and buying houses and doing all this stuff that I used to do all the time, a lot of these traumas are coming back up again. So this is the invitation. And I was speaking about it with my coach this morning because that's how I choose to move through things in real time with my coach. Highly recommend it to anyone listening. If this is you, please get in touch. I will say that honestly, because what the invitation, and she says, is at a core level. She asked me, like, how do you feel? And I feel like a bit like an imposter. She's like, okay, well, tell me about that. Because if we're an imposter, that means that we haven't a different level of how we're looking at ourselves at the moment. So there's the gap. So we're either being inauthentic and we're out of alignment. Where are you being inauthentic and out of alignment? I said, well, I am coaching women, a lot of women in startup businesses, and starting to make small investments and transforming their lives and building the capacity to be able to make the changes, building the capacity to have the confidence to create a self-led self-prophecy for themselves. And I feel like, my gosh, my whole body is saying, you're out of alignment. And she said, okay, that's interesting. Why? And I just said, because I don't have $250,000 in the bank account. Okay, that's interesting. And the deeper that we go with that, the question is, so would you feel embodied if you had that $250,000 in the bank account? Are you waiting for that before you can step into your next level? Are you focused on this shiny carrot that keeps seemingly waved around in front of me to keep me focused and going? And you're saying that you can't do anything more until you have all that in your bank account. I was like, wow, when you put it like that, that's really interesting. No, I don't say that. And she said, why don't you say that? I said, well, because I've built the businesses, because I've had the money, because I have done my personal transformation, because I would pay 100 times any investment that was going to make me money on paper, and I would turn around and pay that on myself because I know that peace and embodiment is far more worthy to me than a number in the bank account. She's like, okay, there you go. So you are embodied. I said, I am embodied. And anyway, I don't have to go on in those details, but the really interesting thing is a lot of the things that I have been avoiding for my next level is that I've actually embodied and already created over and over and over again. I've started 5 businesses, right? And although what happens is our brain will see through the lens of, well, you don't have it now. Your brain will see it through the lens of, you failed, you got divorced, this is your fault. And it will see through the lens of shame and guilt in the quietest of ways. It like whispers on your shoulder in your soul until you are willing to look at your triggers and your judgments and see yourself where you're at. And this is why I'm speaking to you about it. Because the other thing I know is how many entrepreneurs have started and quote unquote failed at business. How many multimillionaires have gone, hey, I've been bankrupt 3 or 4 times before they actually shot everything through the roof. The ones that get up and try, make the decisions, fall over, share it, learn from it. That's the people that I want to be in the room with, right? That's the people that I want to learn from, because they're the ones that are embodied and authentic and so honest about their journey. And I think that's also what I got. Oh, hello, darling. The dog. I think that's also, where I had a bit of misalignment is I'm just so hungry and curious for people's stories and journeys. And now I'm finding it quite inauthentic that I'm not sharing deeply with you guys about mine, about some trials and tribulations and what I'm going through. So that's, and that's a realization that I think the more embodied I am in who I am, which is my authenticity, I am not a performer. I performed my life for so long. I performed, with the money. I performed in the marriage. I performed as a parent, superwoman. And everything I do now is not about performance. It's about authenticity and embodiment. And, when I can continue to step into this next level over and over again and be really honest and share, I'm actually sitting here like I'm looking at this mic and I'm like trying not to well up because I'm like, holy shit, this feels so like, I feel like the weight is coming off my shoulders. My heart is pounding out of my chest. My throat is starting to clear. And I'm just like, wow, when we can really face off with ourselves and become so embodied in everything that we are and everything that we want to share, the world just got like 1,000 times lighter. And although I sit here and say to you, that's not something that I've been choosing to hide. That's something I openly talk about, with family and friends. And, that's something that I do talk about. It's not something that I'm like, I hide on Instagram and I hide in my email list. And I do talk to my clients about it. But there must be something, that shame and guilt that has just been hanging like a big cement splash on my heart that needs to be excavated away for me to reach this new level, for me to really have what I'm calling in. And, until we are embodied in all of it, I will constantly be looking through the lens of I'm not. And as I said, when we're looking through the lens of guilt and shame, I don't get to see all my incredible past experiences as powerful. I just see them as something that I've kept hidden and shame. So when we can create that, change that lens that I've been looking through, that I have built the businesses, I have had the money, I do know the investments, I am, then world just gets lighter because you get to see yourself exactly where you're at. Now, how do I know this? There's other things that happen that I get triggered by, and this is Antoinette said to me as well. She goes, you seem to curl up every time someone gets called like a business coach. And I'm like, yeah, I must. Why? And I've been looking at my trigger around that as well. Because ultimately, she said, you are also an embodied business coach. I know I am. But again, judging myself because I didn't have the $250,000 in the bank account. Interesting. And I'm going to give you some tangible steps to work through this on yourself at the end of this podcast, so stick with me. But I've got a really great example actually of one of my clients that just sent me this, because many, many years of avoidance and performance is what has actually kept me playing small. And although I thought I was authentic and embodied, I can tell you now I was, but there's a new level that I'm playing at, and it's not a small one. It's a really fucking big one. It's a really, really big one. Now, my client just sent me this post, and it was about this man on death row. And the guy that the doctor that was going to inject him asked if he would be willing to be part of this experiment. And he said yes. So the experiment was he didn't want to die. Sorry, it was electrocution, I think, something like that. I digress. Doesn't matter. But the experiment was, we're going to give you a really soft, peaceful way to die. This is what we're going to do. Make a really small incision in your wrist. That's going to be just enough for you to drip and die peacefully, really slowly. It'll just put you to sleep. So the experiment was, I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it up under here. And the guy on death row said, yes, okay, I'll do that. So the doctor put the little bit of slit, but not deep enough to cause blood, but then put a drip next to his bed. So all he heard was the blood dripping, right? Now, eventually, that prisoner on death row went pale, passed out, had a heart attack and died. He was not dripping blood. His brain was believing, the lens he was looking through, his brain was believing that he was dying, that the blood was coming out of him. And so his body created all the chemical reactions. His body created the circumstance in which he then caused himself to have a heart attack and die. And this is what we do every single day without knowing it. We block the clients coming in because we are waiting to have that certain amount of money in the bank account before we feel worthy. We block that love coming in because we are waiting for that quote unquote perfect man to rock up and make us feel good about ourselves. We block and we limit ourselves simply by past experiences that your brain is believing, and your brain believing that past experience is creating your current reality over and over and over again. So to go to your next level, to heal, to have that relationship, to build the business, to have your $250,000 investment account, you have to face off with yourself. You have to understand what programs you're running. What program are you running to create your current reality? Because I can guarantee you that you look in your current reality, you are creating it. If I look at my current reality, I have always been really good at making enough money. I've always been really good at parenting. I've always been really good, at these, whatever it is. But my lens of life is you don't deserve that next level, so I'm just going to keep you there. Now the world is asking, the universe is asking me to level up, and it's throwing something in my face and saying, Rain, are you ready to look at this? Because if you are ready to jump into alignment with what you're asking, let's get rid of it. And that's what I'm doing. Because when you see through this lens of I'm not good enough until I have, for me, it was, I'm not good enough until I have what I had, even though everything else was, unhappy or whatever it was. I'm not good enough until I can prove that I can do that again. The only lens that I'll see through is not enough. I don't see through this incredible embodied, authentic journey in this business and, the kids and the holidays and these things. My default baseline is you're not good enough for your next level because you fucked it up that time. You stuffed it. What happens if you do that again? What happens if you allow yourself into that space and it happens again? So we're just going to keep you safe in this, just making enough, just growing everything. This is where we're going to keep you safe. So I am fucking ready for my next level. I am ready to be ripping this bloody shame, guilt Band-Aid off and exploding into the life that I know that I deeply desire. I have not worked my ass off on my identity, on my authenticity for the last 10 years to stop now. I have not, had to leave my marriage and, been broke and, work through shame and guilt and, find boyfriends and not just to be stopping and being satisfied with everything now, just to be chasing a goddamn carrot that's dangling in front of me that in this lens of life, I will never catch. I got to change my lens. I have to become her. I have to be the her that already has the thing right now on all levels, not just mindset, but at a soul level. Because me going, I'm not going to have what I have, your body's like, but you weren't even happy. You don't want that. I'm like, so how do I create now the new version? I stand in it now. And this is what already her is about. This is what becoming is about. And I want to take the biggest fucking community of women with me. And yes, I coach. Yes, I do group coaching programs. Yes, I do. But I am so passionate now because I have so many conversations with you about what is missing. Community is missing. When I was at that event, when I am with my community, I see my blind spots. I feel my triggers. I see the universe asking me to level up, and it gives me clues and cues as to where I can go and what I can do. This is what I want to create. I want to bring you guys with me. How fucking powerful will that be? You know, my coach even says a rising tide lifts all boats. Absolutely it does. As I am rising, as I'm going into this next level of authenticity, as we start investing, as we start, you know, our wealthiest timelines, as we start building the businesses, as we start finding the most incredible aligned love with sex and intimacy and connection and partnership, I want to take you with me. And I want you to be part of this world. There are plenty of ways you can do that. This is like, it's all so clear for me now. So clear. So before we go, I want to try and riff on some tangible things that I have learned that you can take from this podcast and you can actually start implementing and start looking at now, right? Let's go. 1, you choose the lens of life that you are looking through. You choose it. Whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, you are choosing that lens. So if you want to see through a different lens, you have to allow yourself to be open to stillness and open to a new lens. And that is the question. 1, am I open to looking through life through a different lens? Can I be curious and not judgmental? Your judgments and your triggers will show you. If you want to have a look at the lens you're looking through, have a look at where you're judging, have a look at where you're anxious, have a look at where you're uncomfortable. That is your invitation. That's number 1. Use your triggers, use your judgments. Number 2, your willingness to get uncomfortable in your own thoughts and emotions will dictate whether or not you're able to step into your highest self. So when we are uncomfortable, are you able to face off with yourself? Write it down. What am I getting triggered by? What are my judgments? Are you willing to get uncomfortable to step into your next level? That's a very valid question. Not many women are. They're like, fuck that. Give me the coach. Let me actually finish these 1, 2, 3, 4s before I go to the next, right? 3, really important. Your performance will only get you so far. Your performance will only get you so far. If you are performing your life, covering up your shame and guilt, it will only get you so far. 4, come committed to uncovering your new depths. What do you want in money? Get really intentional. What do you want in relationships? Get really intentional. What do you want with your life? Get really intentional. Number 5, find someone that inspires you, that can guide you. My life completely changed when I stopped thinking that I had to do it all alone and I got a coach and I got in community. So powerful. So powerful. There are 5 things that you can do right now. Walk away from this podcast and do. Stop it, pause it, do it, journal it. Commit to it. That's all I ask. Because, you know, I think this whole preface of coaches and mentors that are online at the moment that are so unembodied and inauthentic, it's like they're cookie cuttering one person's blueprint strategy and having the best marketing strategy, and that's it. Look, you know, I have no disrespect at all, but there is so much inauthenticity and performance going on. And I will tell you this very important message when it comes to that. If you are looking to up-level your life and your business, if you're looking to make more money, if you're looking to find love, and the bright, shiny carrot for you is that coach that says, here's my blueprint to making $100,000 in the next 3 months, you are missing the whole fucking point. You are missing the point, right? The point of this journey is not to just get the money and have the business, which I had. It's not just to be in the relationship, which I had. The point of this journey is to feel and to love where you're at and love what you're doing and love your life. That is the point of this journey. You can have it all and be so fucking unhappy. And then what do you have? You're really missing the point. I think, you know, women need to know you can have that. You can have it all. The money, the business, the relationship, the family, and feel loving and happy about your life. But that can only happen when you meet yourself where you're at. That can only happen when you're ready to go, fuck, where am I at? How do I feel? What do I want? Am I happy with the way that I wake up every day and feel in my life? Is this something that I would be prescribing for myself? What do I really want to feel, right? Now, high performing women wanting to get to the next level, I see you. And I know that you have so many blind spots because you are scared that if you start actually looking at yourself and feeling happy, then you have to give all these other things up. That you have to not have the money or not have the house or not have the marriage. And it doesn't have to be that way. the first step is just going, okay, where are my blind spots? I want to be able to connect and bring you guys with me on this journey. This is Rain 2.0. This is my coming out party. And this is my invitation to you. So my pitch is I am no longer collapsing when someone asks me what I do. I'm no longer shrinking because I have a fucking message. I have an incredible life. I have incredible people in my corner, and I have a lot of work to do, a lot of work with any woman that's looking to do it with me. So I help high performing women get to their next level. We find where your blind spots are. We find what is the root cause of your burnout, and we allow the embodiment of who you are wanting to be and how you want to feel to actually permeate and create the life that I know that you want. And that's what I do. You cannot create from burnout. If you are listening to this and you're burnt out and overwhelmed and you've got it all on paper and you're high performing, high achieving, you cannot create from burnout. We must look at the root cause of your burnout and start making some changes and moves as to what we can do now to heal where you're at so that you can get out of survival mode, out of burnout, and into your next level. That's what we do. This is my invitation to you. I have so many ways you can work with me. I have, one-on-one, come and work with me one-on-one for 6 months. If that is you and you're just like, fuck, I'm working with her for 6 months, let me know. I have an academy, a group coaching academy. I have free masterclass that I'm doing next Wednesday morning called Already Her, teaching you how to be her. That is already inside of you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It's already inside of you. As I said, it's already inside of me until I uncovered that little piece of shame and guilt that I was holding on to. Whew, I forgot that she was even there. She's there. Many ways you can work with me. This has been a really powerful episode for me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Please share this if this has resonated with you at all. I would love that. If you want to be in my world, in my community that I'm building, come join me. Message me on Instagram. Message me here. There's so many freaking ways you can contact me. Don't just sit here listening. Take this plunge. Take your life into your own hands. Let's do this work. My life changed when I got coaches. This is what I do. I help women change their lives. This is what we do. I love that you're here. If you do share this on Instagram, please tag me so I can repost it. What do they say on podcasts? Like my Spotify and subscribe and all the rest of it. Whatever you can do to support me would be great. I really appreciate it. I show up from you, not produced, just me, raw. And any feedback would be greatly appreciated. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.